Good morning, Tampa Bay. I tell you what. ¿Cómo estás, mi gente? Mira, ¿cómo estás? ¿Quién está? I mean, ¿ese es DJ Moyo?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh,
yes,
my
it is.
gosh. We got DJ Moyo here.
Hola todos.
Oh.
I'm really behind the scenes. I'm just over here hanging out.
Well,
CJ.
welcome to Café con CJ.
Hey.
Sin pelos. Today, anyway. Other days, it might have pelos.
Why do we have Sin Pelos and Café con CJ?
Well, why not? Because we can do it. I mean, I said it. That's it, baby. We just do what we need
Sin
to do.
pelos en la lengua.
Sin pelos, sí, or wherever else. Sí, está bien. Yo estoy uno de esas freewheeling kind of guys. Tú sabes algo que tengo que hacer. Estamos aquí para hablar de cosas que normalmente no va a escuchar en otro programas, ¿verdad?
I like that.
Just wide open.
Qué bueno.
In Spanish.
Gracias por la invitación.
Oh, thank you. Moyo, I mean, tell me what's your real name? Tell us what's going on and why you're doing this.
First, I've known CJ for many years, and I think you having a platform where you can invite guests and talk about what's really on your mind. I think your mind is the best thing you have, because you when you come across sin pelos, you tell them how it is.
Brother,
and
I have the cash for you right here.
Yeah,
I
¿viste?
mean, let's see that.
Here we go.
Ching, ching, ching. Dollars, though. Dollars. Anyway.
So, but yeah, no, that's why I think it's important for you to, and I tell everyone this, I mean, one of our guests today, same thing. I said, your voice is important, and for you to be able to talk and say the things that are on your mind, it's, I mean, super, super, super important. And just thank you for having me.
And no, you're amazing, too. And I'll say this because we haven't got into the meat and potatoes de razón porque estamos aquí, the topic. But, Moyo, I mean, I think you're a graduate USF, and you help people, right? What was your major?
Social work. Social work. Yeah.
And you're not just that handsome-looking DJ that's up on stage.
That ain't going to last long. It's almost over.
Yeah.
So, but socially, that's what I love to do. I love to help the community. I think even if I'm as a job or as just on the side note, this is what I love to do during the day.
But that's very important, because I think esa es la más importante cosa, que regresamos algo a la comunidad. Es muy importante. It's always good to give back.
Yeah.
All right, today's topic is dealing with this new law, SB 1718. El Gobernador derechista Desantis and the Republican legislature. Ahora no hay revisión y balancia en el gobierno en Florida. There's no more checks and balances in Florida anymore, and they're passing all these laws that are quite crazy. But we understand why. And we have some really cool guests to speak about this. And I'm honored to have Diana Gonzalez, the sexy mama from Wachula here. Please,
he did use that.
Yeah, tell us something about
sexy
yourself.
Mama. No, mi nombre es Diana Gonzalez. Mucha gente me conoce. I'm going to do this in Spanish because I know a lot of people know me from the radio station. He trabajado en la estación de radio por 19 años. A lot of times we joke and say that, when I was born, I was already working at the radio station, because it's been 19 years. I love it. I love helping the community. Moyo, I know him for a very long time as well. And every time there's an opportunity to help people and inform people, educarlos, I'm here.
That seems like a person. I always like to say in politics, politicians don't change anything. They more, take the pulse of what people think. They're not leaders. Usually real leaders aren't elected. I would say, knowing Moyo, probably knowing you now, you guys are the real leaders in the heart and soul of the Latino community in the Tampa Bay area. Wouldn't you fair to say that? I mean, because you're not elected officials, but you're involved in educating and in being in the community.
They're looking for leaders, and as I told Moyo, I'm here to help in anything I can. Nuestra comunidad necesita mucha información. You're talking about la ley 1718, and the reason that I'm here too is because I see my neighbors. I see, people are very scared. Kids, that broke my heart. Me dolió muchísimo saber que uno de los mejores amigos de mi hijo se va a ir este jueves. And when we ask him why, he said, because my dad is scared.
When you say they're leaving, where are they leaving to?
They're leaving, I think, South Carolina.
Out of state?
Out of state, because they're scared. And, I mean, I put myself in their shoes. And I have 3 kids. My youngest is 9 years old. And Moyo and I went to a meeting last Friday, and he was very emotional, and I felt it. Because I'm a mom, and nosotros también venimos a este país. Bueno, mis papás vinieron, yo también vine a ese país, de una manera que todos tienen un sueño y quieren alcanzar un sueño. and they need a voice, and we're here. Anything that we can do to provide for these people, educate them, parar ese de miedo que existe en estos momentos, inspirarlos. Cuando digo educarlos, es educar porque muchísima gente tiene un poder. Muchísima gente tiene un poder que es el voto, y tal vez no lo tenga usted porque no es ciudadano, pero lo tiene sus hijos, sus nietos, sus sobrinos, su abuelo, su tía. Siempre tenemos a un familiar en casa que puede votar, que es ciudadano de los Estados Unidos y puede salir a votar, pero no tiene la educación, porque en mi caso vengo de México, y en México, tú sabes, la corrupción, toda la gente piensa.
Nadie cree que va a ser una diferencia.
We already know who's going to win. Why I'm going to go and vote for? Pero aquí en Estados Unidos no es así. Entonces tenemos que educar a la comunidad para que salga y ejerza su voto.
I founded Unidos Now. I was about 12 years ago, como 12 años pasado. I was in a church in Naples, Florida. Y todo estaba lleno de hispanos orando para cambios de inmigración, el otro. Y dije, wow, this is a mistake. How do you just pray for it and do nothing? The word I love is oración. Orar con acción. Pray to God for the strength for you to get off your butt and make a difference instead of running away. You have enough courage to come across that southern border. How come you don't have the courage to stand up and make a change here? And that's part of why Unidos was to empower these Latino kids at the time who now go to great schools, like our other guest here, a lawyer, abogada Danielle Hernandez from Tampa, Ybor.
Hello.
And she's here. She's a great example of a Latina who has busted her tail, gone to school, gotten her degree and her doctorates, and is now working actively in the community. That's the future. When we see not only Ecuadorians doing this, but Mexicanas and Mexicanos like you have, I think that's the biggest percentage here. So what do you want to tell us, Diana, about this 1718, SB 17? Anything specifically before we get into more details?
One thing that I want to add, and this is not mi oración, lo que dijo esa persona, fue una persona de Venezuela. He said, venimos buscando o venimos peleando por derechos, pero ¿qué pasan con las obligaciones? We're trying to fight for our rights. But what about our obligations? Las obligaciones, and that's
Explain
what you're
that.
saying. Well, that's exactly what you're saying. We respect everybody's religion and opinions, but you have to act. You can't just be at home and
So your message is get off your butt and do something.
wake up. That's what me and Moya were talking about a while ago. You need to wake up. We need to wake up and stop trying to run away from the state. That's not going to fix anything.
So we'll talk about in a little bit more specifically what you think we can do, que podemos hacer para hacer la diferencia. Abogada Hernandez, introduce yourself and let us know what you're all about.
Buenas. Thank you for having me on your show. So my name is Danielle Hernandez. I'm an immigration attorney. I've been an attorney for a long time. Something I would highlight is I used to be a assistant chief counsel and a deportation basically prosecutor for Homeland Security.
No way.
So I was a DHS.
You were on the dark side?
I was on the dark side.
I never knew that. I don't know why we have her here. She's she's changed sides, huh?
Well, yeah, it's been my pleasure for the last 2 years to have my own law practice that I use to do deportation defense. So it feels really good. I win a lot of asylum cases. I like to do prosecutor
I would
work.
love to talk to you about that because I've had the privilege of doing one asylum case and I thought that was from hell, gang, related, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about this because you know your shit.
The strategy is fun. I ended up falling in love with the actual litigation part. So I do a lot of litigation. And basically, I'm a community activist as well. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay Latin Chamber. And part of what Diana said really resonates with me. I inform on my show. I inform people on the importance of getting involved at the local level. You think that the federal election matters? No, your city council members, county commissioners, everything from the roots level, you might not be able to vote, but you need to understand. So,
Governor Hernandez, what is the show you have? Because I know you're going to be one day.
I have, I'm on 101.1 La Mega. I have Inmigración al Día with Abogada Danielle, and I talk about local politics, what's going on, and informing you on like community events, and then I pick a topic, an immigration
When is that going to be? ¿Cuándo va a ser?
I'm on every Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on 101.1 La Mega.
Can we replay that somewhere? Because 8 is early for me. I have to go to Moyle's Club.
Yeah, I have some rough nights as well. I will definitely send you the link. But yeah, that's part of my duty now that I don't work for the federal government. I feel I'm just going to say it because we're no pelos.
Sin pelos, sin pelos.
I'm not muzzled. I'm not covered by the Hatch Act. I can kind of speak my own mind. So it's my privilege and honor to be able to do so.
Well, it's great to meet you because the next guest, Clayman Kidd, you're going to meet is a graduate of law school, and we've been dabbling on immigration. And my personal experience with my wife, who's Colombian, and trying to get her and the kids here, it's been a freaking nightmare. So when people say to me, do it legally, I said, let me tell you, it's fraught with problems. Hay problema por todo lado. Tú puedes hacerlo legalmente, pero no es fácil. Am I right?
I resent that. If you knew the actual pathways, they are so limited. Of course, people would like to come legally. Even if you are illegally, you have to wait 10, 15 years.
Well, my thing, Counselor, is that I don't think, and I'm just very brutal, I would never call somebody illegal.
Right.
I call them undocumented because I, being a criminal attorney for years, if you commit a crime in this country, you have a right to an attorney. I don't see immigrants that have a right to attorney, except if you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would know, if you cross the border and get caught, you get deported and you come back, now it's a federal crime. Otherwise, you're not a criminal. And you dehumanize people by calling them illegal.
Yeah.
So I refuse to.
It's a civil
call
penalty. And unfortunately, it's written that way in the code. But
well, they may write in the code, but it's still wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I look at it. And we need to stop allowing people to use that terminology. It's written in the code so you can dehumanize a human being.
I totally
and a
agree.
good Christian would not be against somebody that wants to feed their baby or their children. A good Christian is going to help people, not stop them because they weren't born here or what have you. I mean, no, it's not ideal.
No,
those
a
people
good
are going to
Christian
hell. They're going to hell. They're not. Listen, I can promise you, I know this firsthand. Hell's wide open. Man, there's a lot of occupancy because a lot of people think they're going. Have you been to a funeral? I've known some really badass people that are not going to heaven. You would think the Pope had died. Never have I heard one preacher ever say, "Oh, this guy's going to hell. Let's not waste our time. Let's pray for ourselves."
He was quite terrible. So
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, we're Christians that had slaves, and they went to church on Sunday. Hello, they're in heaven. Please, if God lets them in, there's a problem in the system.
Then we'll be good.
CJ
Yeah.
sin pelos.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just say before I introduce Clayman here, my biggest beef in Manatee County are my friends who are pastors that are Republican and vote for Desantis, and their whole church is full of undocumented people. Please explain to me why the hell you think God loves you, because you ain't going to heaven. You ain't going to heaven. You're a hypocrite.
That's horrific.
To me, it's unconscionable. I don't know if you agree with it. Please scream at me too, because it really upsets me.
I want to scream amen.
I mean,
Sermon.
Clayman, introduce yourself, huh?
Hello, I'm Clayman Kidd. I'm a law school graduate from the University of Arkansas, graduated in 2022. For the past year or so, I've been working with CJ, mostly in criminal defense, but recently in immigration.
Awesome.
Clayman is like the go-to guy. He's the brains. Like I said, I need a brief on this. And all of a sudden, cha-ching, there it is, and I win the argument. Don't ask me to write it. I'm like, in the British system, you have barristers and you have solicitors. The barrister just stands there in their black robe with the white wig, and the solicitor hands him the paperwork, and then the barrister just does the trial. And he acts here because he's not there yet, like the solicitor. I'm like the BS artist, so but we only work if we have a good solicitor.
Yep.
Clayman is a brilliant man. All right, thank you for participating, listening to Café con CJ Sin Pelos today, and hopefully this works out, and you can tune in more and hear interesting topics. You're going to hear the truth, and some people may not like it, but I'm an old dude. I don't care what you think. I played the political game. I don't care. It's time we make a difference. We make a change. Importante que tienes orgullo. Listen, I'm going to say this. 4 things I believe. Es ser orgulloso de donde viene. So if you're Ecuadorian or Mexican, be proud of who you are. Que tiene confianza en usted mismo. That's the most important thing. You count. You can be president. You can be a congressman. You can be an owner of a business. You can do any damn thing you want. Listen to your heart. Su corazón sigue su destino. I always have goals. I like to say I'm on a train and the tracks are laid, que estoy en un ferrocarril, un tren y los rieles están puestos. I know where I'm going. I'll bet you Abogado Hernandez knows where she's going. probably to eat after this, but I'm not sure. But we know, you know
Nightcap,
where you're
nightcap.
going, right? And fourth is fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Tiene que fallar en la vida. Relationships, Moyo has a lot of experience with that. He's failed many times. I mean, and it happens to all of us in life, in business, in everything we do. But anyway,
That's
all
how
right.
we learn. That's how we learn.
Yes, Mr. Kidd, why don't you start us off about this law, SB 1718? What do you know about it? What is this about?
Sure. So it's a Senate bill that goes into effect July 1st. It has 4 main things that immigrants need to pay attention to. One is that it invalidates out-of-state driver's licenses that were obtained without needing to provide proof of lawful residence. Certain states have such licenses like California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Vermont, and Washington. So this is nothing that is strange. Like, lots of states have these types of licenses, and Florida has now made it a crime to be driving around with one.
Okay, what's the other 3 points, and then we'll get back to each one.
Sure. The other 3 points. One is it requires hospitals that accept Medicaid to ask their patients about their immigration status. Another, it makes it a felony for a unauthorized person to use a false ID in order to obtain employment. And it requires private employers with 25 or more employees to use the federal E-Verify system to determine if the employee has lawful immigration status.
All right. Now, what we're going to do tonight was let's talk about each one of these points, and all of you, please contribute. Don't be shy. Don't wait for me. Please interject. Tell me I'm crazy. Get involved.
Did the part about the alien smuggling make it through? Because I'm going to be curious about how that is punished on a criminal level. You know, that the part
You mean
about
crossing the border? Is that what you want to talk
crossing the
about?
Florida border with
Well,
like a non-authorized
If I recall,
alien
I
in the
believe
car.
that there is a section in there about alien smuggling.
That's what people are worried about. More part of what
Coming into the state with somebody who's
Well,
undocumented, because I think it
no,
says
no. People are literally like, "Can I drive to Atlanta with my family and come back in?" So I literally have immigrant families. I've taken about 15 calls a day, and they're just like, "So am I going to be able to come back in the state, or do I have to sell my stuff?" And I'm like, "Of course." Like, I would love to see Ron DeSantis close a border in Florida and Georgia and put up.
Now,
I'd like to see that.
I think that what they're worried about maybe is that they do a roadblock where you have to stop
Yes.
in, and they're going to start racially profiling people.
Well, that's precisely what they're worried about. So I've had to actually tell my clients, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see how quick it gets challenged.
Okay, so I'm asking if in Texas, when we drive from
Yeah, they stop
the
you.
valley, they stop you.
But those are feds.
Okay, so that can't happen here? Is that what
No,
we're talking about?
they can. The problem is this is a federal issue,
Mm-hmm.
not a state issue. You think about this is abuse, extralimitación del gobierno, government overreach, right? To the point of stupidity. I mean, we believe. I think most lawyers would say that this is going to be challenged. Now, how do you challenge it? You have to have what they call standing. You have to be the reason. You can't.
You gotta get hurt by it.
You can't. You got to be like the guy stopped.
Yeah.
I can't just
Pretend.
sue them or challenge it because I think this is morally wrong. They pass the law, then somebody's got to be arrested or stopped, and then like groups like the ACLU or
Yeah.
some other organizations usually come in and they're already ready to go because that's
Yeah.
how they get funded. Okay, you want to help organization, contribute to a group like that that defends or fights for our interests,
The rights.
right?
Yeah.
So you get caught. Now a bunch of good-willed attorneys, people get involved and represent you, and they fight this through the court. So the trial court, then the appellate courts, and up maybe to the Supreme Court if need
I'm
be.
sure it'll see. So I think part of the service we could do to people is explain that, because I've had to literally sit and explain, because the division of powers is easy for me to laugh and be like, all right, Ron,
I'm
good
not
luck
worried
with
about
that.
it.
I'm not worried about it. But I've had sincere families that call
Yeah.
and say, can I still take my summer road trip? Nannies, can I go with the family over to North Carolina and come back in
But-
after July 1st?
Abogada Danielle, so you're talking about that literally as of July 1st, they leave the state. They are now at risk coming back in, though.
Well, as the statute is written, I'm going to go with a nanny scenario. I have a woman doctor employs a nanny out of status, and The nanny calls
Undocumented.
And she's worried about driving back in because the doctor knows the status of this young lady, so she will know that she doesn't have status. So as the law is written, hypothetically, she would be it's a third degree felony.
It's a felony.
A second degree
charged.
felony.
Now,
They could be
but
charged.
I think what really is disturbing, and when I had read it, it talked about people seeking political asylum. So when we see images of people rushing to the border, they're not sneaking in.
No,
They're turning themselves in
Yeah.
and doing what they're legally supposed to do, beginning the process of political asylum. And then a lot of them are dumped in here, and they don't even have work permits, which is another. We can go on, and
we
we
can talk
should
about this for hours.
Yeah, and we should, and we'll come back and talk about it. But the point is that they are following the legal process.
Yeah.
So if you're going to stop somebody at the border who is seeking political asylum, they're not committing a crime. This is totally illegal by the governor. Now, let me explain something. There are three types of laws. There's divine law, God type related law. There's public law, or law that DeSantis and the good people in the state of Florida, the Republicans who are part of the devil and will die and go to burn in hell forever. And then there's the law that is the basis of human rights. Human law that tells that all men are created equal, that all people have certain rights as human beings. So public law, they'll go write these ridiculous laws like Jews should be exterminated. Let's go to Nazi Germany. Remember that Hitler got elected by democratic vote, a la DeSantis and Trump. All right? And if we don't fight them, this is what's going to I swear it will happen. We have to always fight for democracy. All right? And so what happens? In our country, we have a court system that's supposed to
Check and
work
balance.
to be the checks and balances against inhumane law. So we are still, as lawyers, very optimistic that the courts will rectify or do what's right and outlaw these illegal laws that are done by power-hungry devils.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way of putting it for me. Anyway.
Ambiciosos.
Yeah. So the hope is that what's gonna happen if they do stop, there'll be a challenge, and one day it will be reversed.
So we have to wait until somebody gets pulled
Yes.
over.
Right.
Basically, I've been telling what has to happen is, one, they'll have to go into force, right? July 1st has to happen. Two, believe me, all these groups, everyone's ready, and they will be ready to take action. And as soon as something, which will inevitably
Well, if I were
happen,
the president, I would set it up. If I was a group, I'd set it up.
Oh, I
July
mean,
1st, I'm going to come in with the red
this has
flag.
happened
Yeah, you're gonna
historically.
set it up.
Like Rosa Parks wasn't. It didn't just
accident.
happen by accident. These scenarios happen. They're planned.
Well,
so.
here's what part of what you talked about, Diane, about standing up. If you're a Christian, like so many of my brother Latinos claim to be, why are you scared? What's the worst going to happen? You're going to have to live in Mexico? Man, I love the food. The people are amazing. I mean, so the worst thing that can happen to me is I'm going to DF. Oh, God. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? And I understand it's painful, but you sacrifice so much to come here. You a believer of God. You believe that when you die, you're going to see God in heaven. Why are you scared to stand up for your rights? And yes, somebody's going to end up being a martyr, maybe. But so what?
I think they're scared because they don't know they have some rights. I think because they never...
Good point.
Nunca se le han respetado los derechos en su país. In Mexico or wherever they come from, most of the people, they feel like they don't have any rights.
Well, my problem, I'm going to tell you my opinion of Mexicanos and Latinos. Mexicanos, I think last I checked, were like 76% of the Latinos in this country. And I joke about this, but I don't think it's funny. The only time a Mexicano gets involved is when you mess with your old lady, and then they'll kill you. But you can abuse a Mexican. You can use them. You can not pay them. They won't say crap.
That's awful.
It is the biggest
is.
problem with Mexicanos. And part of why we created Unidos is to inspire Mexicanos. I'm waiting for, where's my Mexicano leaders in this community? You know how many Mexicanos that come directly from the Valle to Palmetto and Bradenton here? I mean, hundreds of thousands. and they live here. Where are our Mexicano leaders here? They don't exist.
Well, and maybe, hopefully this show will wake them up, because that's exactly what we're trying to do.
I think part of what people need to understand is the constitutional rights, which is what I try to apply to everybody. It doesn't matter what your status is. So when you get questions with, like, can the cop stop me? I'm like, does he have a reason? Do you know that there are such and such rights? And they're blown away. They have no freaking idea.
What's terrible is that they say, can I search your car? Yes. I go, no.
No. Your answer,
you give me an
I literally
argument
made
for
little
you.
cards. You'd be like, am I under arrest?
They
Did
don't-
I
they-
commit
they-
a crime?
they
You have
will-
the right to ask.
You can tell
you know
them
what?
till you're blue in the face, and they'll always, yeah, you can check it.
I make little cards, and I'm like, no.
But talking about the law, or the point that you guys, de que si los paran, if you get stopped, la ley, for what I understand, la ley no penaliza al indocumentado, penaliza a la persona que viene manejando, correct? This has nothing to do, and it's good to clarify, because people, like, again, they're scared, they don't know what's going on. Están mal informados. That's the problem.
Yes.
Están mal informados, and they think that tomorrow, July 1st, people are going to come in, knock on your door, and say, Señora Maria, you guys have to leave.
Número uno, these are state laws. So the first thing people need to understand is the state of Florida is not ICE, and it's not immigration. They are not the federal government. So these are state laws
not
that
gonna
are going to be.
deport you
They're
for
not
this
going to
'cause the
deport
state
you.
can't.
The state cannot detain you or do anything to you.
Yeah, but it does bring up a good question about how this is going to play if you are a U.S. citizen, somebody like that has been arrested.
I
under
would
this.
love to be stopped. I'm like,
Well,
please,
well,
let me be this. Let me be
You
the
and I are
scapegoat.
crazy, because I
I'm
have
like,
been, and I understand that, and I've had the cops try to arrest me and everything
All
else.
right.
It gets really
You're like,
intense.
do it.
Yeah, but that's the point too. I would say the attorney and I have a different mindset, and maybe it's because we are lawyers. But I became a lawyer in part because I don't trust the government, and it's funny. And the right wing freaks that claim they're about freedom and all that are the ones that allow the fascist mindset in. As a defense attorney, the whole idea was checks and balances on the system. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a different view of things, and you're right. They don't feel comfortable. But my thing is that if you are a Christian, seriously, if you're a person of faith, you cross that southern border, you risked your life. Why did you all of a sudden stop? I don't, I just,
I think
fighter.
because
Yes.
you don't want to lose your chance to be here is what my
It's-
clients
'Cause they have
say.
family,
You have
they have
family.
roots
it's
here.
God's will.
Yeah.
Don't they say
I
that?
see your point.
I
Understand your
come
point.
on,
And
you're
I
saying you're
think-
the Christian,
and
not
you know
me,
what?
you
Let's
know.
and let's translate it para aquellas personas que
Por
tal vez no
favor.
están entendiendo lo que está diciendo el abogado CJ, que porque muchas personas son que tienen muchas creencias en Dios o en su religión y siempre están diciendo vamos a orar para una reforma migratoria, vamos a
Exacto.
pedirle a Dios o por una reforma migratoria, pero ¿por qué si se sacrificaron durante su trayectoria por el río, por el desierto, pasaron muchos días, hambres, dejaron a su familia? Hay personas que nunca volvieron a ver a sus papás.
Sí.
Y de repente el día de hoy, you give up. Dices, me voy para otro estado porque no hay nada más que hacer aquí. ¿Por qué no se paran y empiezan a hacer algo? ¿Qué pueden hacer? Se pueden preguntar, y esto, we can talk about this later, the 1-4-10, people can register. I said a while ago, you know someone, tell them to go register to vote. And something else, before I forget, para la abogada, for my understanding, y para calmar los rumores, la persona que está trabajando en un Uber dentro de la Florida no se va a meter en problemas. Por ejemplo, un Uber, un taxi, lo que sea. If you're driving an Uber or taxi and you have someone who you have no clue, I pick up DJ Moyo and I don't
No,
have...
you need to have knowledge that they are
Exactly.
undocumented. So
Knowledge is a big part of the
and that's
criminal law.
tough to prove. Right?
Exactly.
Abogados.
I would just
I would
get over it.
again
It's
a
too
lot
racist.
of the way what's unfortunate y lo que me da mucha pena es que estas leyes están escritas en una manera de que no tienen mucho sentido.
Claro.
Y van a ser un poco difícil de
Mira,
enforzar.
está escrito para una razón. Ayudar a este huevón a ser presidente de Estados Unidos.
Sí, entonces,
that's it. It has nothing more to do than that.
Lo que me preocupa es que las personas no entienden y por eso estamos haciendo este tipo de programas.
Claro.
Tenemos bastantes talleres, información. Por ejemplo, la primera semana de junio, cada evento que yo pueda, vamos a tener un café con conexiones, vamos a hacer un town hall, un legislative readout y les vamos a explicar lo mejor que se pueda. Entonces, un Uber no hay problema. Igual que, por ejemplo, íbamos hablando de si te paran y tu licencia es de
otro
California o de otro estado, ¿cómo van a hacer? I just want to know how Tampa PD is going to check your immigration status when they pull you over. So I'm trying to go through the scenarios with people. Like, let's
Just
play this
look,
out.
Here's how it is. You keep your mouth shut. Queda con la boca callado. Police officer talk to me. I said, no tengo nada que decir. Si mi
Quiero
abogado
llamar a mi
está
abogado.
presente.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. ¿Qué exactamente? ¿Qué es lo más fácil que uno puede hacer without being
Be
Combative.
nice
Combat-
and just say, I'm not talking.
say,
I want my lawyer.
Voy a invocar mi derecho a silencio.
Exacto.
I'm going to be quiet, invoke my right to be quiet, and I would like an attorney.
So somebody can get pulled over. Una pregunta. So somebody, una persona puede ser parada por la policía. They can get pulled over, and the police ask me for my driver license or my status, and I can just say I
No, you do have to provide them with documentation when asked in Florida.
Pero si no tienes
If you don't have any.
y no tienes nada, and you really don't have to answer any more questions after that.
no la tengo y me reservo mi derecho
Exactly.
de hablar.
Exactly.
Period.
Muchas veces una persona se mete en problemas en
Hablando
inmigración
demasiado.
por decir, bueno, obvio.
Ofrecido.
Pero por dar, por ejemplo, un falso seguro social o
Oh, yeah.
papeles falsas. Ese es un crimen
Ahora,
fuerte.
sí, ese sí también está aquí en la nueva ley, usando papeles, como dicen, chuecos. Siempre ha sido ilegal de cierta manera, pero ahora lo quieren penalizar con de manera criminal, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Entonces hay que tener
Okay.
un poco más de cautela con eso.
I know a way of explaining this.
Tell me.
Maybe in a way. For years, it was against the law to live with somebody and not be married till recently.
what?
Yes.
On the books.
Yes. You're breaking the law. Yes. Anal sex is also against the law.
Wow.
Even
Sin
with your
pelos.
wife.
All right.
I'm serious. It's on the books. In Georgia, a guy went to prison for that.
Really?
Absolutely. Admitted to it on his divorce, and they put him away. Welcome to the South.
I think the most
Wow.
recent lawsuit
That's
regarding sodomy in Texas was 2004, before the Supreme Court said that was an unconstitutional law.
All right. So it's on the books that how many people were getting arrested for living with their girlfriend or their
Nobody.
boyfriend? You'd have to arrest all the state attorneys. Probably the governor would go to prison. At some point. That's my point. Because it's law. Are they enforcing the law? Can they enforce?
That's what some police officer friends of mine, they were like, how are they going to enforce this?
Ese es el
That's-
problema. Estamos tratando, we're trying, that's in practical terms, high level. Police officers are not going to walk down the street and be like, let me see your papers. Like
In
for
Collier
real.
County, maybe.
The only
True.
That's what
I'm
I'm
There's
saying.
certain
See,
places
the problem is it will enable people, Collier
We're
County,
jerks. We're
Yeah.
racist.
Pasco, where they're assholes.
Yeah, right off the
Pull-
bat.
Did you see one of the biggest problems? DeSantis has gotten more police officers that have been fired for their abusive behavior in other states coming to Florida and working here.
That's
so
terrific.
That is the scary part.
That tells you right there is the racism.
Well, that's the problem. It will justify, and worst of all, it justifies these Karens. These people, and they're men too that are Karens.
Pero eso es lo que pasa, abogado, que muchas personas no están entendiendo la ley. So, cuando dicen que va a ser ilegal o que va a ser alguien va a tener penalizado por trabajar sin documentos o que van a correr a
Es el
todo el
negocio
mundo.
primero.
Es el negocio,
Es el
no la
negocio.
persona.
But see, that's why we need to explain this,
Well,
and
we
I'm
are.
glad we're here. And
That's
I'm
what-
glad we're
that's
here.
what
And
you're
you can
gonna
come
do
to
on-
my show.
Oh,
You come
sure.
to my show, and Daniel, you're more than welcome. So we can talk
Gracias.
about this because yo digo que hay que calmar a la gente. Let me go over real quick because I know we're gonna talk about this maybe next about the hospital. Está el caso de una señora de 34 años en Lakeland, and this is really sad. Se llama Brusela Destasio Lugo. I hope I said her name, last name correctly. She was pregnant. She didn't know she was pregnant. On May 10th in the morning, she gave birth. The baby parece que nació sin vida. She put the baby in the trash. The police found the baby. This happened in Lakeland. They asked her why did you do this? And she says, I was scared to go to the hospital.
Because of the law.
Because of the law, exactly. And this is,
Did they bring charges against her?
I think they're still investigating. This just happened not long ago. So,
Yeah. How tragic.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, la
and
gente
we're
no
good.
entiende la ley.
And this is done by good Christians. I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to beat the drum. I can't help myself. Anybody that is Latino, like the killer in Texas, the guy shot 9 and killed 9 people, white supremacist, and he was Mexican. His name was Garcia. He had the tattoos of the SS on his body. He was a white supremacist, and he was Mexican, dude.
Entiendo.
Explain this to me. Explain how you can support the Republican Party in this state and care about anybody who's undocumented. Just say you're a son of a bitch, because that's what you are. Or you're ignorant, or you're stupid.
I think a lot of them don't care anymore because they're here. I'm sorry, I was going to say it. I know plenty of Latinos in the Republican Party, and I'm just
I know.
say
They're
it.
evil.
Once they make it.
Well, that's
Once
my
they're
point.
like, bueno, yo ya llegué, me acomodo, good luck.
Yeah,
Don't
look at the
come
blue
here.
eyes.
And they say they're like, no, like,
We call
don't come
them
here.
Colombians with blue eyes.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
like, no,
and,
don't
and
come
by the
here.
way, while they're here, they're working cleaning your house.
Oh, yeah,
And they go back to Colombia and they're like, hey, I'm the mero mero with the dollars, right?
Yeah.
There's the same son of a gun. They just don't respect the race. And here's the funny thing is, the real white dudes
They
that
still
are
don't
racist,
accept
they
you.
don't like you.
They don't like you.
You're
anyway.
not
They'll
part
take
of
your
it.
vote.
Remember,
And they'll take your money.
Abogado William was running for Senate against Catherine Harris a number of years ago. He's Mexican, but his last name is a white name. He was like adopted, and
Harris.
an Anglo name. And I said to him, dude, when they discover you're Mexican, you can forget it. And they did, and they tore him a new one because they are racist, and white racists don't like brown people or black people. I'm going to remind you, in 1970, in the very county we're sitting right here, just down the road, Governor Claude Kirk, Republican, took over the school board building to prevent the integration of schools. 1970.
Wow.
And guess what? Latinos aren't white. I know my mom was a mestizo short leg. She thought she was white. I said, you're not white. You're not. As a matter of fact, she was 16% black when we did her DNA. She didn't even know. I mean, it was so funny to me. I mean, but you're not white. Well, Hispanics, there's only black and white. There's no, Mom, she's old school, you know? She was old school. But the point is that those people, most of the Christian schools in this community were started in 1970. I wonder why. Because they didn't want their white children to go to school with people of color, brown people. They didn't. And they're Christian schools, by the way. So those people are still around. I'm around. I'm not that old. Maybe I am getting old, but I'm around. My people, we were around. So what happened to them? Those racists just stopped being racist? No, sirree.
But in términos de going back to the hospital, I mean, we'll just keep spreading the message. But if we got to say it out here, you only need to report when the hospital asks you your immigration status.
Okay.
right?
And what's
En
the purpose?
español,
And what's
explícalo.
okay, ¿y cuál es el propósito? Okay, la pregunta para la abogada. We're going to make a clip out of this, Moyo.
Yeah.
¿Cuál es el propósito de que el hospital está preguntando si eres tu estatus migratorio?
El hospital tiene el deber de reportar una vez cada cuarto de año cuántos números de pacientes están viendo, o el estatus migratorio de los números. Están diciendo números, no están preguntando
La señora fulana de
nombres, no
tal.
están llamando a inmigración. Es solo lo que me imagino que va a suceder es que va a haber una pregunta en el formulario del intake cuando uno llena la dirección, nombre, ¿cuál es tu estatus migratorio? X. O a lo mejor tienes estatus migratorio, sí, no, algo así, y tienen que reportar estos números.
Recuerda, si el hospital no te da el tratamiento, no solamente que va al infierno, pero va a hacer cargos por mala práctica de abogados
Claro,
contra ellos.
y
Ellos
llama-
van a tratarte. Esa sin
Nunca
duda.
van a dejar, exactamente. Y no son todos los hospitales que reciben fondos de Medicaid.
Okay.
De Medicaid. Entonces, no están ni llamando a inmigración, porque eso no existe, solo están haciendo una pregunta. Entonces, hay mucha
Para tener una
preocupación
estadística, ¿no?
para estadística.
Pero yo
para
creo que
reportar.
usarlo en el futuro en política. Mira, tenemos
Claro,
20,000 personas que agarró
Medicaid.
tratamiento gratis.
Pero,
20,000.
pero sí hay en la ley sí va a tener la pregunta I wish not to answer or whatnot, ¿cierto o no sé?
Yo no recuerdo.
Do
Yo
you
creo que
remember if
sí.
that's
The
written in
yes,
there? They
you
do
do
not-
not have to answer the question when you're asked.
Will be in there.
Perfect. Entonces, básicamente, solo para decirle
No
a
da
todo
el
el mundo,
repuesto.
es que es solo una pregunta, ni van a llamar a los... Yo creo que las personas están preocupadas por el tiempo de Trump. Remember that you couldn't go somewhere and worry about immigration coming. Ese no va a ser el caso. Como está escrita la ley, porque tienen que recordar que estamos hablando de una ley estatal, no federal.
I'm going to say I worked with Biden. I hung out with him in 2007, and I had an opportunity to speak length with him about different topics. He runs the federal government. He's our guy right now. As long as you have him or a Democrat in
We'll
there,
be okay.
I am very sure you're okay.
No
Estamos
van a
bien.
llamar a la migra,
Pe-
básicamente.
la migra no va a ahora recuerda, abajo de Trump está yendo a las oficinas, a los negocios, esté amparado todo. Ahora, hay excepciones.
Sí
pero-
rompe la ley, claro.
pero hay una diferencia completamente dentro de un republicano y un demócrata en la posición de presidente. Porque el presidente es el encargado del grupo, el departamento que trabaja con inmigración. Pero el presidente no es un dictador. Él necesita que el Congreso escriba la nueva ley de inmigración. Y por lo parte de los republicanos no va a pasar.
Bueno, por último, de lo que la abogada estaba diciendo, dentro de ese formulario va a haber una opción que dice prefiero no contestar. Punto.
Pueden seleccionar eso. Si se sienten más cómodos haciendo, básicamente no te van a pedir tus papeles, ¿verdad? Entonces no tienes que preocuparte de ir al hospital con el green card, ni con los documentos de asilo, ni nada así. Contesta lo que te parezca mejor. Yo diría, no quiero contestar.
Es solamente para infundir miedo en la comunidad inmigrante. Usted tiene una buena idea, un concepto. Yo creo que ustedes deben hacer su pregunta en español rápido al terminar este programa para que usarlo en sus programas con la abogada que ella sabe que está hablando, ¿verdad? Si tienes preguntas para quitar secciones de eso, puedes usarlo a vez en cuando. Ese es más efectivo que tener un programa de 1 hora hablando de política, porque solamente los locos como nosotros les gustamos
Which we
eso.
love. It's so fun.
Pongo una canción y después la voz de ella hablando de la cosa. Ok, we'll be right back. Hey, la banda recodo. Ahora con la abogada Diana. Okay. Daniela. Oh, perdón, sexy mama.
No, esa es Diana. Esa es Diana.
Yeah, Daniel's a sexy mom.
I like Abogado Hernández. It's better.
Bueno, para este corte, yo lo podemos utilizar como dice el abogado. Preguntas para la abogada, Daniela.
dígame.
Si una persona sin papeles se casa con un ciudadano, ¿qué puede pasar? Porque tú sabes que siempre que va a haber una ley, un cambio de ley, todo el mundo, pues vamos a hacer sin pelos. Buscamos, oye, cásate conmigo para que no me lleven.
¿Qué la pregunta? ¿Si casan
Para
con una
arreglar.
persona sin
Sí,
documentos?
no. Like, I'll tell Moyo, hey, can you help me? I'm
En español,
scared. Me da miedo, tengo miedo que me deporten. Vamos a casarnos con un residente y ciudadano.
Does that help?
Does that help? A lot of people.
Ok. Voy a
Depends.
contestar de la manera
Depends.
diplomática y decir, si te casas con un ciudadano o residente, puedes comenzar tu trámite, sea como sea, no importa. Se comienza el trámite y ya uno está en un estatus en proceso.
¿Es el
Mientras directo.
C-130, C-130?
El I-130, la petición familiar y bueno, entrando, le digo a todo el mundo para la ayuda, entrando por la frontera de manera irregular, porque esa es la palabra que yo uso, eso va a llevar varios pasos, ¿verdad? Entonces hay que tener un poco de paciencia, pero claro, igual se puede arreglar. Ojo con casarse con un primo o algo así, sí, por favor, porque en Nueva York visitan las casas y visitan los domicilios.
Es importante ya saber que sí. Mira, para mí, si está aquí sin papeles, tiene que buscar forma a legalizar todo, ponerlo correcto. Y esa es una fantástica forma de hacerlo. Pero cuidado.
Cásate, pero vivan juntos, por favor.
Sí.
Otra pregunta que tenemos aquí dentro, hay varias preguntas. ¿El sistema de E-Verify empezará con empleados nuevos o con empleados ya existentes?
De lo que está escrito, dice empleados nuevos. Estábamos investigando esto con el abogado Cayman y está escrito los empleados nuevos, o sea, de aquí en adelante.
Pero recuerda, este es todo nuevo ley y va a hacer cambios. Pero
Y modificaciones.
trabaja con una compañía que tiene menos de 25 personas sin documentos. Muy fácil. De gente, y yo conozco, mañana voy a estar hablando con una empresa de construcción que tenía una compañía, va a tener 2, 3.
Varias compañías,
Sí, y allá
¿verdad?
no hay problema.
¿Alguna otra pregunta que tú tengas, Moyo?
No, I'm good. Yo estoy muy bien. Simplemente, pues, sí estabas hablando de qué pasará, porque este Desantis, el gobernador, lo que él ha hecho
Que me toma Miranda.
es la plataforma de él para correr para
Presidente.
presidente. Entonces, ¿qué es la cura? What's the fix for us? De aquí al futuro.
I hope he just runs so he can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but if you de todos modos,
No, actually,
no
they
podemos.
passed a law that he could remain governor.
That's just bullshit.
I know,
saw
but
that.
they
Oh my
passed.
God.
He just
You
passed.
what?
He just passed the law.
Yes, he
this
doesn't
last
have
few
to
weeks.
vacate his seat.
Yeah, and normally before
What?
you'd have to give up your governorship to run for president.
Not no more.
He passed a law that you can't. On top of that, he passed a law that we had Florida in the sunshine, que era todo el gobierno estaba abierto. Now he can hide his trips.
Eso quiere decir que
everything.
no hay un derecho para pedir algo que se llama FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, or what's it called in the Sunshine Act.
Yeah, sunshine.
Que se puede
Government in the
pedir
sunshine.
todo
Todo
los
está
récord-
abierto.
Los
It used to
récords
be-
abiertos ya no.
Yeah,
This sounds
yeah.
very Hitlerish.
Well,
very,
well,
like,
hello.
yeah.
Thank
Well, people
hello.
need to pay
Well,
attention,
ese
yes.
hello.
People really need to pay
but,
Yeah,
attention.
más
but,
que eso.
but are you telling me que the Republicans that
But how
voted
about
for
this?
this,
How about this?
were on this? I mean, they
No,
knew about this?
I'm going to
Nah,
tell you a
maybe
couple
not
more stories,
beforehand.
but the worst thing he's done so far, there was a duly elected, democratically elected state attorney in Hillsborough County.
Andrew Warren. Yep.
Yes. And the governor removed him because he had said
He wasn't
earlier
gonna
he was not
enforce-
going to enforce abortion laws. And he didn't actually not enforce them.
He just said
He
it.
just said it as a campaign thing a couple years before. He removed
An elected official.
That is
Duly- y que
communism.
ganó dos veces.
Horrible
So what
totalitarianism.
happened?
Nothing.
So-
He lost his job. They put another whack job in there.
I'm saying what happened. The government don't step in that in the
Well,
federal.
he filed in federal court, which doesn't have jurisdiction, and they ruled that it's just a complete abuse of power and it's wrong.
But
and
they
federal-
can't restore
They
it.
can't
Blah,
restore
blah
it.
to the
It
So
has to be
what's
done
what's
in
the
state.
solution? In 2 years, people need to vote.
yes.
Different.
Yeah.
The answer is to vote.
Know who you voted
your, Florida House, Florida Senate, and vote better is
And
the solution.
They changed the laws for the tort for the personal injury and for lawsuits.
what is that about? Like, I
Well,
know
okay,
everyone went and filed suit.
Yes, with
I filed suit. A couple suits we had.
Yeah, it's so you do personal injury.
No, I had an accident. I was a victim.
Yeah, you do personal injury for
No.
yourself.
She
no,
had
no,
an
no.
accident.
I was the someone.
You didn't
hit
file it
me.
for you.
No, I didn't file it for me. I might let my law firm do it, but I signed off. I'm like, yeah, go file that shit. I want to preserve my rights.
Okay.
Explain.
Well, there's many things that have happened. First, when it comes to hurricanes, this got what got it started. Well, the insurance industry guaranteed DeSantis $100 million for this.
Okay.
And
So he did it.
And he did it. There were two. Normally, we have checks and balances in Florida, and there were two Republican senators that were not going with it that we had on our side. And then he went to them and said, "You will vote this way, or I'm going to remove you." So they voted. So what happened is, for example, if there's hurricane damage, and let's say you say that your insurance company should pay you $100,000, and they're offering $50,000. Before, for 120 years, has been this way. You hire a lawyer, they go fight it, they go to trial, they get $100,000 for you, and the insurance company would have to pay the 100 plus the attorney fees and costs. Now, if this happens again, you have to pay the attorney fees and costs out of the $100,000 you win. So that means, say it was at $50,000 that you're contesting. If the attorney is going to get his fees and costs, now you're back down to the closer to the amount of what you were fighting for. It makes so you're not going to fight the insurance company. So he just gave a big windfall to the insurance company.
companies.
Yes.
Yep.
And normally what was really, and the reason she's talking about lawsuits is that they, like this immigration law starts July 1. This started immediately.
Which is
And so what we had to do
rare.
is there was over 50,000 lawsuits in like a day. I mean, we're talking 5,000 lawsuits in one county a year. I was talking to a federal judge who said 5,000. They had that filed in one day. So over a few day period,
It was
a week
like an
period,
avalanche.
Yes, I think Morgan filed over 35,000 lawsuits. And now the courts are jammed. And so right after that, when we had some mediations getting ready, they canceled them. And then they said, well, we'll just do it next year because they're sitting on their money. There's no reason. The whole thing is screwed up because of the governor. And it gets worse than that. On PIP, for a provider that is owed money, they again had the same system. They make you the money, you get the attorney fees and costs. They can no longer make any money from that. So now providers have to hire in-house counsel to fight for their PIP. They're basically taking away bad faith. They got rid of bad faith. So the insurance company, if let's say you had a $10,000 policy and the guy got killed and they didn't pay in a timely, do what they need, you could sue them for the actual amount of money that, well, what happens is you could sue them for the actual amount of money of the value of the case by them acting in bad faith. Okay, so think about it this way. Let me try to summarize it this way. Let's say you're a business owner and you have $1 million policy and you're running a truck and you kill somebody and it's worth $3 million. Now, the law firm that is handling that is going to go get they're going to demand the $1 million. Let's say the insurance company says, no, we're not paying you that. So you go to trial and you get $3 million. Before, it might be considered bad faith, so that business owner would hire an attorney to sue that insurance company. Remember, the insurance takes the power away from you of deciding whether to pay or not. All right? And then they'd be forced to pay that over $2 million judgment. Now, under the new law, they don't have to get paid. So if you go get $3 million judgment against the business, now they'll owe you $2 million and you go get it enforced, take their business away or whatever. So it is done a big windfall for the insurance companies because there's no checks and balances in Florida.
To our detriment, to people's detriment.
Yeah, yes.
That's what people need to understand.
And so here's what we've been told as trial lawyers. When you get a business that, let's say, have $1 million policy and it's worth more, go to trial, get the excess judgment, and screw the business. And then they will tell the Republican leadership that they're getting screwed by the laws that they've done. Because, remember, the insurance company makes the decision, not you.
Yeah.
You understand? They're going to decide if they pay and how much, not you. So it's going to be, in the next year, it's going to get worse. And if there's a hurricane, oh, my God. Because, you know, what I think makes the country, I'm a personal injury lawyer, and part of what people don't understand is business only understands one thing. Money. They, you know, when Ford designed the Pinto that would explode when it was hit from behind, they made a decision, we'd rather pay off the dead people than redesign it because it was cheaper.
Wow.
Right? And when they found out about that, they got big-time punitive damages, and now they design safer cars. My daughter once fell asleep with a light in her bed, and if it would have been a few years earlier, she would be dead. I would probably be dead because the mattresses would, burn up, or the clothes the kids wear.
Oh.
Okay? So because of lawsuits, manufacturers make safer beds, safer clothes. Go to Latin America where they don't have this system, and you'll see a big-ass hole in the middle of the road where a motorcycle hits it and dies, and they go, you should have been paying attention. Or the thing collapses because there's no money penalty to the corporations. Anyway, that's my 5 cents, and we've been talking a long time. Listen,
we've learned a lot.
Café con CJ sin pelos, man, you guys are amazing.
Thank you for having us.
I'm really the sexy mama. Wow, I mean, got some great questions. I'm telling you, Clayman, very reserved and
people
right
are really
to the
gonna
point.
believe I'm sexy mama.
You,
I'm not sexy mama. But you can call me that.
girl, you're the sexy mama. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care what other people
They're
call
gonna be
you.
looking for a station. Okay, ¿quién es la sexy mama? ¿En qué radio
¿Dónde
está?
La
encuentras
Z
la
con el
sexy
sexy mama. Abogado Hernandez. Oh my God, Governor. I mean,
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to meet such a strong, independent woman who would kick my ass. I'm getting old because I know I can't put up with her. Thank God I don't have to see her in court. And imagine her in court.
Luckily, it's just immigration court nowadays.
Well, I don't
Putting
know.
up the good fight.
I have a feeling you'll be doing other stuff.
The good fight.
And of course, Clayman, who is
Thank
a
you,
genius.
Clayman. Thank you for
and a
being
wonderful-
our brain.
Yeah, well,
Of course. Thank you for coming.
well, mira, gracias por todo que está escuchando. If you made it through this program, we're absolutely excited. And the Spanglish, I don't know if you like it or not. Let us know.
Let us know.
All right?
All their information will be in the show notes, so let them know.
Yeah, I guess it's all going to be on the show notes.
Yeah,
whatever
everything
that
will be
is.
on the show notes. Diana's information, Abogada Danielle, and
DJ
of course,
Moyo, you're my man. I tell you, I'm waiting for you to run for office.
Ándale, un
I'll
día
write
de
a
estos, si Dios
check, baby.
quiere.
Have a good one. Adios. Ciao.
Adios.